Rain is falling so hard that it sounds like stones on the hospital roof. The corridor is wet. People are shouting. Nurses are rushing past. In the middle of all the noise, a woman is on her knees on the cold floor. Her name is Mabel. Her clothes are soaked. Her hair is dripping. Her hands are shaking as she holds a small boy in her arms. The boy's name is David. He is 8 years old. His lips are turning blue. He is not breathing well. "Please," Mabel cries, her voice breaking, "please help my son." A nurse in a light blue uniform stands in front of her, frowning. Behind the nurse is a big sign that reads, "Emergency. No cash, no treatment." "Madam," the nurse says, "we have told you, you must pay the deposit before the doctor can see him." Mabel's fingers tighten around David's small body. He gives a weak cough. His head falls to the side. His chest rises and falls in short, painful gasps. "I don't have it," she whispers. "Please, please. His father is not here. I am all he has." The nurse folds her arms. "The deposit is 50,000 naira. If you cannot pay, take him to a government hospital." Another nurse pushes a trolley past them without looking down. People in the waiting area turn away. Some shake their heads. Some whisper. "That woman again." Single mother, always begging. Mabel feels the words like stones thrown at her back. She looks down at David's face. His eyes are half closed. His tiny fingers hold the front of her dress like he is afraid to let go. "Mum," he whispers, so soft she almost does not hear it. "I can't breathe." Mabel's heart feels like it is breaking in her chest. She presses her forehead against his. "It's okay," she whispers. I'm here, my son." But inside she is screaming. She thinks about all the things she has done for this child, all the nights she has skipped dinner so he could eat, all the mornings she has rushed to 3 different jobs, all the insults, all the looks, all the times she has been called careless, stubborn, a shame. And now, when he needs help the most, money is standing between her child and a doctor. The nurse turns to walk away. Something inside Mabel snaps. She stands up so fast that her wet slippers almost slip on the floor. She runs toward the glass doors of the hospital, still carrying David in her arms. Outside, cars are parked in the rain. Headlights shine through the water like blurry stars. Mabel steps into the storm. "Help!" she shouts, her voice breaking through the rain. "Please, somebody help my son." No one answers. People rush past with umbrellas, trying not to get wet. A black SUV drives toward the entrance and stops. The driver steps out to open the back door. Mabel drops to her knees in front of the car, still holding David. The driver freezes. A man inside the SUV leans forward, trying to see through the rain and the glass. He sees a skinny woman in a faded dress. He sees a little boy who looks like he is slipping away. He opens the door and steps out. He is tall. His shirt is dry and clean. His shoes shine even in the rain. Mabel looks up at him with desperate eyes. "Sir, please," she cries. "They will not treat my son unless I pay. Please, help me. I will do anything. Please save him." The man looks at her. His face is hard to read. He remembers a day, years ago, when another woman helped him when no one else did. The rain falls harder. David's body grows heavy in Mabel's arms. The man's hands curl into fists at his sides. He takes a deep breath. And then, 3 years before that night in the rain, the sun is bright over Lagos. The streets are loud with sounds, cars honking, bus conductors shouting, sellers calling out prices. On a small street near a busy market, in a narrow one-room house with a broken window, Mabel is tying a school tie around her son's neck. The tie is old and a little faded, but she smooths it with care. "Stand still, David," she says softly. "Yes, Mom," he says, trying not to move. He is small for his age, but his eyes are sharp and bright. He looks up at her with trust in his face. Mabel pulls his school shirt straight and steps back to look at him. Her heart fills with pride. No one would know that this child's father walked away before he was born. No one would know that she washes plates in a small restaurant, cleans offices at night, and sells fruit by the roadside so that he can wear this uniform. "You look very handsome," she tells him. "Like a bank manager?" he asks. Mabel laughs. "Even better, like the future owner of a big company," he grins. "I will buy you a big house, Mom, with a gate and a washing machine so you don't have to wash clothes with your hands again." She smiles, but her eyes feel hot. "Amen," she says. "Now eat your breakfast before it gets cold." On the small table, there is a plate with 2 slices of bread and a cup of tea. Only David eats. Mabel pretends she is not hungry. She says, "I will eat at work," even though they both know the truth. David looks at her. "Mom, share with me," he says, pushing 1 slice of bread toward her. She shakes her head. "No, my dear. You are the one going to school. You need your brain to be strong." "But you need your body to be strong," he says quietly. Sometimes David sounds like a little adult. Mabel sits beside him and takes a small bite, just to make him smile. Inside, she is already counting the money she has, trying to stretch it in her head. Rent is due in 2 weeks. School fees are late. The restaurant owner has not paid her for last week. He said business was slow. She pushes the fear down. One day at a time, one fight at a time. When David finishes eating, they leave the room. The corridor is narrow. The other tenants' doors are open. An older woman, Mama Blessing, sits on a low chair, peeling yams. She looks up as they pass. "Good morning, Ma," Mabel says with a small smile. The woman's eyes travel up and down Mabel's body, from her worn slippers to her tired face. She hisses softly. "Single mother," she mutters. "You think you are strong, but you will see, no woman can raise a child alone." Mabel feels the words like a slap. She takes David's hand and walks faster. Outside, the street is busy. As they walk to school, another woman stops them. It is Mabel's cousin, Anita. Anita is dressed in a bright dress with gold earrings and a bag that looks expensive. "Mabel," she says, eyes wide, "you still live in that place? I told you, come and stay with us in the village. Bring the boy. A child needs a father." "How long will you suffer like this?" Mabel forces a small smile. "Good morning, Anita. We are fine." Anita scoffs. "Fine? Is this fine? Look at you, thin like broomstick." Her eyes move to David. "And you," she says. "One day you will join your cousins in the village school. This Lagos life will not help you." David steps closer to his mother. Mabel feels his small fingers squeeze hers. "Thank you, Anita," Mabel says softly, "but my son will go to a good school. He will become someone great. I know what I am doing." Anita lifts her eyebrows. "You think love can pay school fees? My dear, stubbornness will kill you." She walks away, shaking her head. Mabel feels a lump in her throat, but she keeps her head high. She bends down and touches David's cheek. "You hear me, my son," she says. "You will not end like this. You will not repeat my story, I promise you." David nods, eyes serious. "I believe you, Mom. Life does not become easier. Some days it almost breaks her." When David is 8, the landlord knocks on her door one hot afternoon. He is a short man with a big stomach and an even bigger voice. "Mabel, open this door." She wipes her hands on her skirt and opens it. "Good afternoon, sir," she says. "Good afternoon for what?" he snaps. "You are smiling at me and you are owing 3 months' rent." She swallows. "I am trying, sir. Please, give me just 2 weeks. I will pay something, I promise." "Promise, promise," the landlord mimics her voice. "Did your promise build my house? Did it buy cement?" He steps into the room without asking. He looks at the small mattress on the floor, the bucket of clothes, the broken fan, the worn curtain. "This is not charity home," he says. "If you cannot pay, go and sleep under the bridge." He steps back outside, his voice loud so that the neighbours can hear. "You have till the end of this week," he shouts. "If I don't see my money, I will throw your things out myself." Doors open, faces appear. Whispers start again. Single mother. Always crying. Who sent her? Mabel stands there, her hands shaking. David is near the window, his homework book on his lap. He looks at her with wide, scared eyes. "Mom," he whispers when the landlord leaves, "are we going to sleep on the road?" Mabel walks to him, forcing her voice to be calm. "No," she says, pulling him into a hug. "I will not let that happen, I promise." But that night, when he is asleep, she sits in the dark and cries quietly. She looks at the small box where she hides her savings. She opens it. Inside is a handful of crumpled notes, not even close to 1 month's rent. She wipes her tears. "I am your mother," she whispers into the dark. "I will not fail you." The next week is a storm of problems. First, the restaurant where she washes plates closes for renovation. "That means no work for now," the boss says. "Maybe come back in 6 weeks, or not, I don't know." 6 weeks? No wages. Next, David's school sends a note. "Dear parent guardian, your child will not be allowed to write the upcoming exams if fees are not paid in full." The paper shakes in her hand. That evening, she goes to the school to beg. In the principal's office, a large woman sits behind a desk. "Mabel," the woman says, adjusting her glasses, "we understand your situation. But this is a private school. If we allow one person to owe, everyone will want to owe." "Please, Ma," Mabel says softly. "He is one of your best students. He loves this school. He reads his books at night with candle. His father is not here. I am the only one. Please let him write exam. I will pay little by little." The principal sighs. "You have 1 week," she says at last. "If you do not pay something, I will have no choice. He will stay at home until payment is complete." Mabel thanks her over and over, tears in her eyes. Outside, she leans against the school wall, her heart beating fast. She cannot lose David's dream. But where will the money come from? That night, David finds her at the small table with her head in her hands. "Mom," he says gently, "are you okay?" She sits up quickly and wipes her face. "Yes," she says, trying to smile. "I am fine. Why are you not sleeping?" He looks at her, thinking. Then he picks up his school bag, opens it, and brings out something wrapped in paper. He puts it on the table. "What is that?" she asks. He opens the paper. Inside are 50 and 20 naira notes, some coins, and a few folded pieces of money. "I have been saving," he says. "From when Uncle Chike gave me money at Christmas, and when our neighbour paid me to help carry her water, and when we sold extra oranges last month." He pushes the small pile of money toward her. "Use it for my school fees," he says simply. Mabel stares at the money. Her vision blurs with tears. "It is not enough," she whispers, "but you should not have to—" "Mom," David says in a small but firm voice, "we are a team, right?" She nods, crying now. "Yes," she whispers. "We are a team." "Then let us fight together," he says. She pulls him into her arms and holds him for a long time, her tears soaking his shirt. In that moment, she feels ashamed that her child has to think like this, but she also feels something else, deep, burning love. She will not let him down. The next morning, Mabel makes a hard choice. She wraps some of her clothes, the nicer ones, the ones she once wore to church when she still had hope of dressing like other women. She carries them to a small, crowded second-hand market. The sun is hot, the ground is dusty. She walks from one seller to another, begging them to buy her clothes. Most of them laugh. "Auntie, this cloth don't tire," one man says. "I cannot even use it to clean my car." At last, an older woman with kind eyes calls her over. "How much do you want?" she asks. Mabel knows the clothes are worth more, but her rent time is running out. Her son's school deadline is close. "Anything you can give," she says. The woman looks at the small pile of clothes, then at Mabel's thin face. She gives her less than half of what the clothes should cost, but she counts it with steady hands. It is still something. When Mabel leaves the market, she has enough to pay a part of the rent and a small piece of David's school fees. It is not full, but it is something. She walks home with tired legs but a stubborn heart. Days turn into weeks. The landlord shouts again and again, but each time she gives him a small amount, begging for more time. At the school, the principal looks at her with tired eyes. "You have paid part," she says. "I will let him write the exam, but please, Mabel, don't stretch us too far." Mabel thanks her, almost falling to her knees. On the day of the exam, she wakes David early. She cooks the last small cup of rice in the house. She does not eat. She watches him eat with shaking hands. "Right well," she tells him, touching his shoulder. "Do your best. That is all I ask," he smiles. "I will make you proud, Mom." "I am already proud," she says. He leaves for school, his bag bouncing on his back. She watches him until he turns the corner. Then she whispers, "God, please help us." But life is not done testing her. One hot afternoon, a new storm comes. David is at home, reading on the mattress. They are waiting for evening so they can go to church. Mabel is washing clothes in a basin of soapy water. Suddenly, she hears a sound, a sharp, dry cough. She looks up. David is holding his chest. He coughs again. "Are you okay?" she asks. He nods, but his eyes look strange. He takes a breath, then another. The third breath seems to hurt. He grabs at his throat. "Mom," he gasps, "I can't breathe." The basin of clothes falls from her hands. Soap water spreads across the floor. "David," she says, her voice shaking. "David, look at me." He tries to speak, but only a wheeze comes out. His small chest is rising and falling too fast. This has happened before when he was younger. The doctor had said the word asthma, but the inhaler they gave him finished months ago. She could not afford to buy more. Her mind races. There is no car, no money for taxi. The government clinic is far, but the private hospital near the bus stop is closer. She grabs his old inhaler, just in case, and scoops him into her arms. "We are going to the hospital," she whispers, trying to be calm. "Hold on, my son. Please hold on." He nods weakly, tears in his eyes. She does not lock the door. She just runs. Down the corridor, down the stairs, onto the street. People jump out of her way. "She is always running," someone says. "Trouble follows her." She does not hear them clearly. Her heart is beating so fast she feels it in her throat. It begins to rain. First a few drops, then a heavy curtain of water. By the time she reaches the hospital, she is soaked. Her slippers slide on the wet tiles as she stumbles inside, shouting for help. That is how she ends up on the floor, begging the nurse. That is how she ends up outside in the rain, on her knees, in front of a stranger's SUV, begging one last time. The tall man steps closer, rain dripping from his hair. He looks down at Mabel. "Madam," he says, trying to be calm, "how much do they need?" For a second, Mabel cannot speak. "It's 50,000, she whispers at last. "I don't have it. I only have—" She opens her hand. Inside are wet notes and a few coins, all she has managed to save. The man looks at the small amount. His jaw tightens. He turns to the driver. "Stay here." He walks into the hospital, his steps quick and sharp. Inside, he finds the nurse from before. "Who is in charge here?" he asks. The nurse looks at his clean clothes, his watch, his serious face. She stands straighter. "The doctor on call, sir. What is the matter?" "There is a boy outside," he says. "He cannot breathe. Your sign says you will not treat without cash." "I am paying." He takes out his wallet. He brings out a card. "Bring your POS," he says. "Now." The nurse hurries away. Within minutes, the payment is made. The man follows them back to the entrance. "Bring a stretcher," the nurse shouts to the guards. They rush outside. Mabel is still on her knees, holding David close, whispering prayers into his ear. "Madam," the nurse says, breathless, "we will take him now. The bill has been paid." Mabel looks up in confusion. "What?" she whispers. How? The tall man steps forward. I paid, he says simply. Her mouth falls open. Why? She asks, voice shaking. You don't know me. Why would you do that? For a moment, he says nothing. Then his eyes soften. Because once, he says quietly, someone helped my mother when I was almost gone. She was also alone. People laughed at her. But one stranger paid my school fees and bought my asthma drugs for a year. That stranger saved my life. Today, maybe I can do the same for you. The words hit Mabel like a wave. The guards gently lift David from her arms onto the stretcher. His small hand slips out of hers. For a second, she feels empty. Mum, he whispers, barely conscious now. I'm here, she says, walking beside the stretcher. I'm not leaving. They rush him inside. The nurse turns to Mabel. You can't follow past this point, she says. Wait here. The doors swing shut. Mabel stands in the hallway, dripping water onto the floor. Her legs feel weak. She turns to the tall man. Sir, she says, her voice almost a whisper. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I don't even know your name. He wipes rain from his face with a handkerchief. My name is Daniel, he says. Daniel Adeyemi. The name sounds familiar, but Mabel cannot place it. Thank you, Mr. Daniel, she says. I don't have anything to give you. I'm just a cleaner. I sell fruits. He raises a hand gently. You have already given me something, he says. You reminded me of my mother's strength. And you reminded me that money means nothing if we cannot use it to help someone. Tears run down her face, mixing with the rain. I have nothing, she whispers. Only this boy. He is my whole life. Daniel looks at her for a long moment. Come, he says softly. Let us sit. The doctor will come out soon. They sit on a hard bench in silence. Minutes feel like hours. Every sound from behind the swinging doors makes her jump. Every time a nurse walks past, her heart stops. At last, the doctor comes out. He is a tired-looking man with kind eyes. Are you the boy's mother? He asks. Mabel jumps to her feet. Yes, she says. How is he? Please tell me. Is he alive? The doctor smiles a small smile. He is a fighter, he says. We gave him oxygen and some medicine. His asthma attack was very serious, but you brought him in just in time. He is stable now. He needs to rest and will need regular treatment and inhalers. Mabel covers her face and sobs with relief. Thank you, she cries. Thank you so much. Daniel's shoulders relax. The tightness in his chest eases. The doctor looks at Mabel's wet clothes, her shaking hands, and then at Daniel's neat shirt and watch. He seems to understand. The boy needs checkups, he says, and your living environment might be making things worse. Too much dust, smoke, or damp. You must keep him away from those things. Mabel nods quickly. I will try, she says. I will try my best. After the doctor leaves, Mabel and Daniel sit again. The rain has slowed outside. Cars move past the hospital gate. A baby cries somewhere down the hall. You said someone helped you once, Mabel says quietly after a while. Who helped you? Daniel leans his head back against the wall. He looks up at the ceiling like he is looking into the past. I grew up in a small compound too, he says. My father left my mother when I was 5. She did everything alone. People laughed at her, called her names. I had bad asthma. One day, I collapsed in school. My mother had no money for treatment. A teacher who did not even know us paid my hospital fees. Later, that same teacher paid my school fees until I finished secondary school. Mabel watches his face as he talks. What happened after that? She asks. I got a scholarship, he says. I studied engineering. Now I own a construction company. I became a rich man. People see my cars and my house and think that is the whole story. But the real story is my mother and that teacher, and every day they refuse to give up. He looks at her. And now I see you, he adds softly. You remind me of her. Your courage, your love, your fear, your anger, all of it. I know those eyes. Mabel's heart twists. No one has ever said that to me, she whispers. People don't see what single mothers carry, he says. They see only the outside. They don't see the nights you spend awake, counting coins. They don't see you skipping meals. They don't see you pretending you are okay so your child won't be afraid. Mabel looks down at her hands. They are rough and cracked from soap and hard work. Tears drip down onto her fingers. You must think I am foolish, she says, begging a stranger in the rain. He shakes his head. I think you are brave, he says simply. When they finally allow Mabel to see David, he is lying on a bed with an oxygen tube near his face. His eyes open slowly when he hears her voice. Mom? She rushes to his side, taking his hand. I'm here, she whispers. I'm here, my son. He smiles weakly. Did I miss my exam? He asks. She laughs through her tears. Only you would think of exams right now, she says. We will talk about that later. For now, just rest. Daniel stands at the foot of the bed, watching. He sees the way David looks at his mother, like she is the strongest person in the world. He feels something shift inside him. He clears his throat. Hello, David, he says gently. My name is Daniel. David looks at the man in the clean shirt and shiny shoes. Are you the doctor? He asks. Daniel smiles. No, he says. I'm a friend. I just came to see how you are. I'm okay now, David says, voice still weak. My mum saved me. She always saves me. Mabel squeezes his hand. Daniel looks at her. In his mind, a decision is forming. Over the next days, Daniel visits the hospital to check on them. He brings food because he notices Mabel never eats when David's plate is not full. He brings new slippers because he saw hers were broken. He offers to pay the rest of the hospital bill. At first, Mabel tries to refuse. Sir, it is too much, she says. You have already done so much. I will find a way. He looks at her firmly. You already are finding a way, he says. Let me walk a little of this road with you. Her lips tremble. She nods slowly. One evening, when David is sleeping, Daniel sits with Mabel outside under the shade of a tree near the hospital gate. The air is cool. Cars pass on the road. So, Daniel says, after he leaves here, what is next for you two? Mabel sighs. I don't know, she admits. Our room is small and damp. There is mold on the ceiling. I clean it, but it comes back. Maybe that is why his breathing is bad. The landlord wants to throw us out. School fees are still not complete. I feel like I'm in the middle of a river and cannot see the shore. Daniel is quiet for a long moment. Then he speaks. What if I told you, he says slowly, that I can help with some of that? Not as charity, not to control you, but as someone who was once a poor boy with a single mother and a dream. She frowns a little, not sure. How? She asks. He takes a deep breath. I run a foundation, he says. We sponsor children from low-income homes. We pay school fees. We support their guardians, especially single parents, with business grants or small trainings so they can stand on their own feet. I started it in honor of my mother and that teacher. I would like to put David on our list, if you agree. Mabel stares at him. Her heart jumps. Her mind races. Pay his school fees, she whispers. For how long? Till he finishes secondary school, Daniel says. If he keeps his grades good. After that we see what next, maybe more. Mabel's hand flies to her mouth. Tears spill from her eyes. Why us? She asks in a trembling voice. There are many poor children. He looks at her gently. There are, he agrees. But today I met you. Sometimes life brings someone to your path, and you know you are meant to help. Also, your son is very bright. He told me his exam scores. We need boys like him to rise. Mabel feels like the ground is moving. Her whole world, which has been so dark, suddenly has a small bright window. She thinks of the nights she held David as he cried from hunger. She thinks of the days she washed clothes until her hands bled. She thinks of the insults, the shame, the loneliness. And now this. "It feels like a dream," she whispers. Daniel smiles softly. "Your hard work is what brought you here," he says. "Not luck alone. You fought this far. Let someone fight with you for a while." She wipes her face. "What about my rent?" she asks in a small voice. He hesitates. "We have a small housing support program," he says. "We can help you move to a better place. Still simple, but safer and cleaner. Somewhere with good air for his lungs." She cannot hold back anymore. She bursts into deep, shaking sobs. Her whole body bends with the weight of her tears. Daniel reaches out, unsure if he should touch her. He gently rests a hand on her shoulder. She does not pull away. For years, Mabel has carried her battles in silence. She has smiled when her heart was breaking. She has pretended to be strong when she was tired to her bones. Now, in this moment, the wall breaks. All her silent battles pour out in her tears. When she can finally speak, her voice is rough. "All these years," she says, "I thought no one saw me. I thought I was invisible. I thought my story did not matter. I thought being a single mother meant I had failed at life." Daniel shakes his head. "Your story matters," he says. "More than you know. The story of this single mother. If people heard it, it would touch their hearts. It touches mine." She looks up at him, eyes red. "You really think so?" she asks. "I know so," he says. The next few months bring more changes than Mabel ever imagined. With help from Daniel's foundation, she moves to a small but clean room in a better area. The walls are dry. The window opens to fresh air. There is a small compound where David can play without crashing into piles of trash. They buy a simple bed so they do not have to sleep on the floor anymore. David returns to school. His fees are fully paid this time. He gets new books. New pencils. For the first time, he does not have to sit at the back, hiding when teachers talk about fees. He joins the school's science club. He reads everything he can find about asthma, medicine, and lungs. "I want to be a doctor one day," he tells his mum one evening, "so that no child has to be turned away from a hospital because of money." Mabel smiles, her heart swelling. "With your heart," she says, "you will be a very good doctor." The foundation also helps Mabel start a small, clean fruit stand near a busy office area. They give her a small cooler, a colourful umbrella for shade, and a little training on how to keep records. She sells sliced watermelon, pineapple, oranges, and cups of fresh juice. Workers line up during lunchtime. Some come back every day. She is no longer just the woman who begs. She is Auntie Mabel who sells the sweetest fruit. She still works hard. She still wakes up early. She still goes to bed late. But now her hard work builds something solid. Not dust, not sand, a future. Even with the new help, life is not a straight road. There are still bad days. There are still nights when asthma attacks come back, though less sharp now that they have medicine. There are exams that make David nervous. There are times when sales are slow. There are whispers from people who say, "Rich men always want something in return. Be careful." Mabel hears them. Fear stirs inside her. One evening, she sits at the fruit stand later than usual. The streetlights flicker on. Daniel walks up, his car parked a little distance away so as not to scare her customers. "Good evening, Mabel," he says. She smiles, but he can see something is bothering her. "Is everything okay?" he asks. She hesitates. "I am grateful for all you have done," she says slowly. "But some people, they say maybe one day you will ask me for something I cannot give, that you expect me to pay you back in wrong ways." Her eyes fill with shame even as she says it. Daniel's face clouds. He looks hurt. "I understand why they say that," he says quietly. "Too many men take advantage of women, especially women who are alone." He leans on the edge of her stand. "Listen to me, Mabel," he says. "The only thing I want from you is this. That you raise that boy with the same love and strength you have always given him, that you let him grow into the great man he is meant to be. That is all. She searches his face. She sees no lie there. Why do you care so much? She asks, voice soft. He sighs. Because helping you helps me too, he says. Every time I see you standing tall, even when life tries to push you down, I remember my mother's face. I remember the teacher who paid my fees. I remember that I did not come this far by myself. I want to be that kind of person for someone else. Slowly, the fear in her chest unties itself. I don't know how to thank you, she says. You already are, he replies. Every time you send me a picture of David's report card, every time I see your fruit stand open, every time you refuse to give up. She laughs a little through her tears. For many years, she says, people told me I was foolish to raise a child alone. They said I would break. They said my child would suffer. But you see something else. I see a hero, he says simply. She looks away, shy. No one has ever called me that, she murmurs. Maybe they should start, he says. Years pass. David grows taller, his voice deepens. He still holds his mother's hand sometimes when they cross the road, out of habit. He works hard in school. He stays late, reading in the library. He wins prizes. One day he comes home waving a paper in the air. Mom, he shouts, bursting into the room. Mom, where are you? She comes out from the small cooking area, wiping her hands. What is it? She asks, her heart suddenly worried. He holds up the paper. His eyes are shining. It's a scholarship letter, he says. For a special science secondary school, they picked me. I got in. For a second, Mabel cannot react. Then the words sink in. You got a scholarship? She whispers. He nods, grinning so wide his cheeks hurt. They will pay all my fees, he says. Books, uniforms, everything. They even give us hostel. This is one of the best schools in the state, Mom. They only take the top students. I made it. We made it. Her knees almost give way. She sits down slowly on the edge of the bed, hand over her mouth. Tears fill her eyes. David kneels in front of her. Mum, he says, this is because of you, because you never gave up on me, even when we could not breathe, even when we had no food, even when people laughed, you stayed. She shakes her head, tears rolling down. It is because you worked, she whispers. You read your books. You refused to let poverty hold you. He takes her hands. We did it together, he says. She nods, crying and laughing at the same time. Together, she repeats. On the day David leaves for boarding school, the compound is quiet. His small suitcase is packed. He wears his new school uniform. Mabel stands in front of him, her eyes scanning every detail. Are you sure you packed your inhaler? She asks for the 5th time. Yes, Mom, he says, smiling. I packed 2, and my medicine, and my books, and the picture of us you love. She touches his collar. You will be far, she says softly, but my heart will be with you. I know, he says, and I will come home during holidays. I will call you every week, I promise. Daniel arrives to drive them to the school. He watches the way Mabel fusses over David, and he smiles. At the school gate, Mabel holds her son tight. Her arms do not want to let go. You are my miracle, she whispers into his ear. You are the proof that my tears were not wasted. He hugs her back. You are my hero, he whispers. I will not waste your sacrifices. I will make you proud. When he walks away toward the dormitory, her eyes follow him until he disappears. Daniel stands beside her. He can see her shoulders shaking. Are you okay? He asks gently. Yes, she says, wiping her eyes. These are happy tears, but still, they hurt. He nods. Let them fall, he says. You earned them. They stand in silence for a moment. Then Mabel speaks. Sometimes, she says, when I think back to the day his father left, I remember how small and weak I felt. I thought my life was over. I thought I would never smile again. People called me names. They said, "No man will want you now." They said, "Your child will be a burden." She looks at the school buildings, the students in neat uniforms, the bright future opening in front of her son. "They were wrong," she says, her voice stronger now. "I am not a burden. I am a mother. A single mother, yes, but not a broken one. Each tear I cried watered this future. Each insult I took built this road. Each night I went hungry became his strength." Daniel listens quietly. "Your story," he says, "will give many women courage if they hear it." She smiles a little. "Maybe one day," she says. "For now, I am just happy that my child has a chance I never had." He looks at her with deep respect. "You know," he says softly, "we want to share stories on the Foundation's website. Real stories of families we have helped. Would you allow us to share yours? We can hide your face and name if you want, but I believe people need to hear about you." She thinks for a moment. Her first instinct is to hide, to keep her pain in a private box. But then she remembers all the nights she felt alone. She remembers all the women in the compound whose husbands beat them, left them, or controlled them with money. She remembers the words, "No one sees me." Maybe it is time for that to change. "You can share it," she says quietly, "but don't make me look like a victim. I want people to see that single mothers may be tired, but we are not weak. We may be poor, but we are not useless. We may cry, but we still stand." Daniel smiles. "I promise," he says. Months later, a story appears on the Foundation's page. It is titled, "The Story of This Single Mother Will Touch Your Heart." It tells of a woman who raised her son alone in a small, dark room. A woman who washed plates, cleaned offices, and sold fruits. A woman who faced insults, pressure, and shame, but refused to give up on her child's future. A woman who ran through the rain with her son in her arms and begged strangers to save his life. A woman whose courage, sacrifices, and silent battles changed everything. People read it, they share it. Some cry, some remember their own mothers. Some remember times when they judged a woman without knowing her story. One comment under the story says, "I used to look down on single mothers. After reading this, I see how strong they are. I am ashamed of my thoughts." God bless all mothers fighting alone. Another says, "This made me call my mum and say thank you. She also raised us alone. I never knew how hard it was." In a small room in Lagos, Mabel sits on the edge of her bed with her cheap phone in her hand. She reads the comments, her eyes full of tears. David, home on holiday, sits beside her. "See, Mom," he says softly, "your story is helping people." She leans her head on his shoulder. "Maybe that is why God kept me going," she whispers. "Not just for you, but so that someone out there who feels alone can know they are not." He wraps an arm around her. "In my school," he says, "when they ask who my hero is, I always write your name. One day, when I become a doctor, I will build a small clinic in a place like where we used to live. And I will name it after you." She laughs quietly through her tears. "You don't have to." "I want to," he says. "That way, other children like me will not be turned away because of money, and other mothers like you will not have to kneel in the rain." The picture in her mind makes her chest warm. A clinic, her name on it. Children running inside, breathing easy. She closes her eyes for a moment. She sees the road behind her, the broken promises, the long nights, the hungry days, the judgment, the fear. And she sees the road ahead, school, dreams, a clinic with her name. The weight in her chest feels lighter. "Then I will keep standing," she says. "For you, for that future, for every mother who thinks she has nothing left. Because now I know, my story can touch hearts. And if it can touch even one heart enough to change how they treat someone like me, then all my battles were not in vain." David squeezes her hand. "Mum," he says with quiet pride, "your story touched mine first." She smiles. Tears run down her face, but this time they are not from pain alone. They are from something brighter: hope, courage, love. The unbreakable heart of a single mother who refused to let the world decide her child's future.